There you
Okay, welcome. Today is Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. This is the Lynn and Lori webinar. Woohoo! The monthly Lynn and Lori webinar. I'm going to move my chair over a little bit.
I call it the Lori and Lynn webinar.
Oh, I always call it the Lynn and Lori webinar. So Misha says, "Hello, Lynn and Lori. It's so nice to see you and receive some wisdom. I just passed the final exam for the basic course. Yay, Misha, congratulations. I've got a lot of questions. I would be very grateful if I get answers. I want to ask how to score sounds and smells when calculating the results since you don't know for sure if it's on target. And how can I tell if it was an AI or a stray cat or is a stray cat just considered just a word? And what to do if AI doesn't appear at all?"
Are these
Oh,
in the
those are,
question and answer thing?
yeah, it's the first, it's the
I'm
second
not
class.
getting any.
Oh no, when you open the Q&A, nothing, you don't see it?
Let
I
me
don't see
check.
anything. No.
There's
See
a
your questions. Uh,
Can you check
oh,
again?
all of a sudden there it is with a whole page of them. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
okay. That's okay. I'm glad you found it. Okay, so Misha, since apparently I'm because you said you took the basic exam, I'm assuming that that's mine because I'm the one with all the basic exams that are getting done. So the way that you score sounds and smells, if you can't get feedback, the way you score anything that you can't get feedback on is with a question mark. And what's really interesting is sometimes when you are doing a session and you have a lot of question marks, years later, you might get feedback. I've gotten feedback,
Yeah.
11 years later, 15 years later, and was able to actually fill in some of those question marks on certain targets. So that's you just have to use a question mark and then you add up your total amount of perceptions and you subtract the question marks from the total in order to get your score. And then what
there's logic too. I mean, somebody's playing a piano or a violin or something. You can pretty well
that's true.
judge the sounds. Yeah. Yeah. They're playing a piano. You're not, and you report a elephant. Uh, you know,
Mhm.
you're wrong.
But yeah, and if you in for example, if you said you smell diesel oil and then there's like a bunch of 18 wheelers or something or big trucks that use diesel,
Yeah.
then you could give yourself a yes for that. So if you can't
Yeah.
get feedback, you give yourself a question mark. If it's logical deduction that yeah, that's probably correct. Like let's
Yeah.
say you
But
smelled lemon and then there were lemon trees everywhere. You could give yourself a yes for that.
yeah, just no waffle.
Yeah, don't waffle. Be careful of waffling. And then now one of the things that I teach, Lynn, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this, but I find that a lot of students and even myself sometimes, you'll have what's kind of like a combination AI stray cat, where, for example, you see a guy on a horse and he's off and to your right, for example. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of a combo AI stray cat because you sense that there's something off to your right, which is the AI
Hmm.
part of it. But the
Yeah.
fact that you think it's a guy on a horse is the stray cat part. And
Yeah.
um, and so a stray cat, what stray cat stands for, Misha, is subconscious transference of recollections, anxieties, and yearnings to consciously accessible thought.
Yeah.
And I memorized that many, many years ago. But and what Ingo's group, Ingo initially called those AOLs, analytic overlay, but
AOLs.
there is a difference because analytic overlay starts with analytic, which comes from analysis, which comes from the conscious mind, and the
Hmm.
subconscious transference, the stray cat, that comes from the subconscious mind. Now, people go, well, is that really important? Should I like really, But I say, well, don't get off track too bad worrying about, well, wait a minute, is this an AOL or a
No,
stray cat?
no.
But bottom line is a lot of people are getting combo AI stray cats.
Yeah.
And what
Hmm.
I have been encouraging people to do structurally is to break those out and put stray cat, guy on a horse, AI
Hmm.
off and to my right, and to break them out into those two different things.
Perfect. And then
Yeah.
come back. And when you say AOL or stray cat, man on a horse, okay, get to where you have the habit of saying that may be right, it may be wrong, or whatever. And when you come back and start describing that which I called a man on a horse,
Mhm.
you don't come back and describe the man on the horse.
Right.
Yeah.
And it helps sometimes if you sometimes, for example, there's been some really amazing stray cats. Like I was working with this one
Oh,
student,
yeah.
and she perceived that she perceived a house. She said, I think there's a house, and it was actually a canvas roof on poles, you know. So I
Yeah.
said, move into that which you perceive as a house and describe.
Hmm.
And she went, oh,
Yeah.
it has no walls. Her reaction was, oh, it has no walls.
Uh-huh.
So, and so, we don't usually encourage you to remote view your stray cat,
No.
specifically, but if you decide you've got it, there's some stuff you could extrapolate from that, then you can tell
Yeah.
yourself, move to that which I perceive as a
Right.
house, or, in
The
that case.
thing is, a stray cat or an AOL, they come from something.
Hmm.
You know, you get red and round, okay? And you say it's a ball. Why didn't you say it's Santa Claus or it's an apple? You know, somewhere in your thought process, it selects what you're going to say, how you're going to analyze it. And so there's good information. And so what you have to understand is that an AOL or a stray cat, it may be right, but it may be wrong. So cue with that which I call or that which I perceived as.
Very good. That's excellent. PJ said, thank you for your time. Lori, you've written and spoken about using CRV for creative purposes like writing, music, etc. How does that
Mhm.
work?
Pretty
So
well.
yeah, it does, it does work really well. And Lynn and I have had some students, some of them were shared students because in the beginning, Lynn would pass me the students and I would teach them basic, and then Lynn would take them on to intermediate and advanced. So some of them are shared students, and we've had a lot of authors and a lot of musicians and a lot of computer specialists and programmers and psychiatrists and psychologists, et cetera, et cetera. But what we find is that there's almost always a use for CRV in almost every genre of life, it seems like to me. And one of the things I just finished recording like 30 minutes ago, I finished doing a video, and it's called how to use CRV to find your identity. And
Yeah.
so it's really it's in it, and I actually share a little exercise that you can do to open up your creativity, to get answers when you need answers about like what do I really want? That's a hard question sometimes. What do I want?
Yeah.
It can
Hmm.
be really a tough question. So sometimes, like when I'm meditating and I think, well, I want to envision what I want. It's like, what do I want? Oh, what do I want? So
Yeah.
this exercise is kind of a written exercise, just free flow of consciousness that helps you kind of break out the answer to a question that you might be having about, why am I here? What do I want? What am I meant to do? Where am I meant to go? Things like that we have. And it's just a little exercise, and it's going to come out as your PRV moment. And Trixie,
Yeah.
you saw that when I sent that to you, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So Gabe's probably working on that as we speak, and hopefully that'll be out before the end of the day, and it's free, guys. So we'll put that out for you.
Good.
And then, Lynn, do you have anything that you wanted to add about that? About like, what are some of the creative uses that you've seen for people who are artistic in using
Uh,
CRV?
I use them for my artwork. Uh, I also write music every now and then, and for writing. Uh, um, Also for helping to teach others. I have found that people don't remember rules, okay, but they remember stories. And so I have my stories, my old war stories, from my experiences, but also parables or just analogies. You explain the variations on time. You rock in the pond of time. There are rocks in the pond of time that you're not going to change. Everything else is fluid. Hey, you know, and and using an analogy, but that analogy has to be creative. And your subconscious mind is infinitely creative. It really is. Uh, and so all you have to do is develop a camaraderie with your subconscious mind, develop the friendship, develop the communications, and you'd be amazed. Also, we have the exercises. Um, uh, Lori and I both have the exercises that we give to the students, the go hug a couple of trees, the ambiance exercise, and all those, and vocabulary exercise. And those help you get in touch with your subconscious mind too. And uh, the vocabulary exercise helps you in remote viewing because you can report nuances and all that. But outside of remote viewing, your communication skills with the public, with friends, neighbors, and all that expands exponentially. And so, yeah, this all of this stuff we're teaching, uh, the subconscious mind is creative. Just learn to tap into it.
Yes, it sure is. Martin's trying to help me merge my Q&A with things, but it's I can't. There's no. I'm on an Apple. I'm on a brand new MacBook Pro, and I can't get it to do that, Martin. No, there's no. Oh wait, let's see. No, no. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, they've changed the whole Q&A format on this new Zoom. Darn it. Oh well. Anyway. Uh, all right. So, Katarina is asking, and Lynn, this one I'm going to direct directly to you. I'm curious if you teach further steps of ambiance. Could you please reveal what is step number 2 and number 3? Thank you.
Okay, I will give you step number 2. All right. I have found repeatedly the absolute majority of time that if we give you all 20 steps, everybody goes through the first step and says, "Oh, I already do that." Second step, "Oh, I already do that." Third step, "I already do that." Finally, they get to step 4 or 5 and they can't do it because they didn't master the beginning steps. And so I have just made it a policy to give ambiance number 1, step number 1. If you want step number 2, okay. Step number 2 is basically walk into a room, notice the ambience, okay? Come back out. Have somebody go into the room and change something into the room. At first, it needs to be something drastic, but then it can get smaller and smaller and smaller. Then you go back into the room and you're not looking for what has changed. You're looking for the change in ambiance. And everybody says, "Oh, I can walk into the room and tell you immediately what's changed." I don't care what's changed. It's the ambiance you're working on. And that's step number 2. Have somebody go in and change the ambiance, change something in the room, come back out, go back in, and notice the change in ambiance. Okay. They may put something in the room that's going to make you happy, or put something in the room that would make you angry or scary. And you're not looking for the thing. You're looking for the feel of the ambiance and how it has changed. That's step number 2.
Very good. Okay. Misha, now for some reason, Lynn, when you look at your Q&A box, I was able to merge it with the thing, but now a bunch of the questions are on top of each other.
I know, yeah. I've already completed a dozen of my
Yeah.
first training sessions after completing the basic course. And each time I see a 3D picture of a target in quite a bit of detail, I describe it as per the protocol. Good. But in the end, from the feedback, it's clear that it's not what I imagined. Imagined is the key word. However, the description is quite accurate. Is it just me? No. From the very beginning, Ingo says, describe, don't identify. In CRV, you take your nouns, okay? What you think it is, what you see it to be, that's your conscious mind automatically doing an AOL. So you get a clear, detailed picture. Listen, that is your conscious mind. Ingo always said, if it's not a clear picture or if it's moving, okay, that's more from your subconscious mind. If it's a clear picture and it's static and it's still, it came from somewhere. And so those descriptors are in there of the real target, but it's almost never what the target is. So you set it aside as an AOL, as a visual AOL, and then you say, that which I saw as a merry-go-round at the park or something like that, that which I saw as that, describe it. And you start describe that which I saw as a house, describe it. Oh, there's no walls. And so that's the way you do it. You set it aside. This is what Larry started off with. You set it aside and you come back and you say, it can be that. Maybe it's not. That which I said was that, describe it. And right here, and you've answered your question right here. Okay. I see it in quite a bit of detail. Conscious mind. I describe it as per protocol, which is good, perfect. In the end, okay, from the feedback, it's not what I imagined, okay? However, the descriptions are quite accurate.
And one thing I've been telling a lot of my students who come in at this brand new and they expect that the picture they have in their head is what they will
Oh,
see
yeah.
when they open the envelope. I tell them, we don't care about the picture in your head. Just compare what you wrote down, your description, with the feedback and ignore what you had in your head once you're done. Once you're
Right.
done viewing, you just look at what the picture in the envelope or the picture on the screen that is your target
Mhm.
and what you wrote down. And if your description is it matches, that's great. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times these images that pop into your head are trying to tell you something about the target, but it's
Yeah.
usually never the target. The picture in your head is almost never what's in the envelope or what's
Almost never. No.
so very,
And
very cool.
in your summary, keep the nouns out of the summary.
Yeah.
If you put the nouns into the summary, like I saw a house without walls, okay, it's not a house. I saw a place. I saw a structure without walls. Okay.
Yeah. Very good. Daniela says, hi, Lynn and Lori. I'm doing the basic CRV. Two questions. One, when you were beginners, what changed everything for you? And oh, I know the answer to that one for me. And then Lynn, when in the movies Men Stare at Goats movie, when going through Walk in the Wall, what was that in CRV? When he threw himself at the wall, was that part of CRV? I had a relatable thing
uh,
happen when I did a meditation one time. I can see through the wall, and when I went through it, it was like water. Then I hyperspaced.
okay. General Stubblebine, at one point, thought that he had mastered moving through material. And he actually got up in his office and said to his secretary, I'll see you in the other room, ran into the wall, knocked him out. He didn't make it through the wall. Now, at the end of the movie, my wife pointed this out to me. Lynn's student walked through the wall. Okay. Hasn't happened yet.
That's so funny. Well, and for the first question, the thing I have to tell you that a big turning point for me, I was really as a new student, I was like a lot of students, fear of failure. I was so afraid to make a mistake.
Mhm.
I was, I didn't, should I write this down? What if it's wrong? That kind of thinking. And so it made my remote viewing sessions really stressful. And I
Yeah.
remember one time I sent a session to Lynn and I sent this big apology letter saying, "Oh, Lynn, I'm so sorry. I know this is all garbage and I'm sure you expect
Mhm.
better from someone, from me and da 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 and all this big apology letter." And he wrote back and said that was 100% accurate. And I said, "Well, then why
Yeah.
did it feel so miserable? I was so miserable the whole time I was doing it." And he said, "Well, if it feels good, don't do it." But that was your response.
Yeah.
But here's the thing,
Yeah,
guys.
but she had the AOL that it was horrible. Yeah.
Right. So one of the what really changed it for me was when I finally just said, "You know what? I'm tired of making myself miserable." And rather than
Right.
quitting CRV, I just said, "You know what? I just don't care anymore. I'm just going to do it for the sake of practice and I'm going to have fun." And I give myself permission to make a mistake and I give myself permission to make shit up. And as soon
Yeah.
as I said that, that was my turning point. Because as soon as I just let go of trying to be perfect and trying to be right, that's when I started really being accurate. And that's when remote
Yeah.
viewing started being fun for me. It
Yeah.
started really being good. And
And now that you've used the word, I'll go ahead and use the word too. Jim, Lori's husband, uh, loves to come into a class right at the oh shit moment when a student looks at their feedback and they realize I can do this. Oh, yeah. And the realization comes, and it's a beautiful moment. I live for it. And looking across the table and seeing the students have that. But the thing is, there comes that moment when you say, I can do it. And that's usually the moment that changes everything for you. Now, the fact is that in the whole 35, almost 40 years now that I've been doing this, I've had so many of those moments when I know one time well into it, oh, that's why we have A as the shape and the feel, not A shape, B feel, C. And oh, that's why. And genius, Ingo was a genius. He really was. And he
Mhm.
had studied this. And you discover more and more things about the CRV and about your own mind as you progress through it. So, when I was a beginner, what changed everything for me, the first session I did, uh, I got it completely right. And they told me, you are absolutely wrong. It was one of these beacon sessions where they send somebody out. And I got people driving along in the car totally lost. And they sent two people out in a car to a known place. And so they said, no, you're right. The people came back and they said, we got lost. We never could find it. And here were the experts telling me that I was wrong and I was right. And that said, hey, there's something to this. Yeah. So that was
That's
when I was a beginner, what changed everything. Yeah.
Joel's asking, is your database open to anyone, Lynn, or just to your students? Because Joel's my student and he can get my database from what I understand. He's able to
Yeah.
use my database, but he was trying to get into yours and couldn't do it or something.
I'm very protective of that database. And if you are trained by Lori or by a qualified CRV instructor, yeah, you have access to it. But um, so many people make up their own categories. And I know one time a CRV trained student came in and got access to the database and came back and said, well, you don't have a category for space alien. And I said, I have a category for biological. Well, but I want one for space alien. I said, well, you're not going to get it because, you know, it is what it is. And I have found that people who don't know databasing will put garbage in.
Mm-hmm.
There's one rule that they teach you about databasing from the very beginning. Garbage in equals garbage out. And you put garbage in, the information you get out of a database is garbage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very protective of it. But if you're Lori's student and you understand from Lori the way Lori has taught you to do the databasing, sure, yeah.
That's great. Katarina asked,
Mhm.
oh, let's see. She said, I understood that when I get an AI, I'm still not allowed to use nouns and describe what I see when I'm really there. So I guess I can use nouns only in higher stages. I'm about P3, but I had an AI already when trying Lynn's AI inducing targets. And
Yeah,
yeah, that's true. You shouldn't be using nouns. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years. Lynn's
right.
been doing it much longer.
Yeah,
And I still, you got to avoid nouns. And even when you don't want
yeah.
to, what's your main mantra, Katarina, is describe, don't identify.
Don't
Nouns
identify.
identify.
Yeah.
Nouns identify. So
Now,
you don't want to use nouns.
when you get into stage 4 and stage 6, there's a column for nouns. Okay. But even when you put that noun into that column, you say, maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. I'm going to go to the other columns and describe.
Why is this? This thing is.
In finding a job, would it be fair to prompt, describe for the logo of the best job for me? You bet. But describe the logo. Okay, what color is it? What shape is it? Uh, Describe any patterns on it and things like that. Describe them, don't identify them. Yeah, but you can also do that for what country does this person live in? Describe the flag. Um, uh, you know, and anything like that. Yeah, that's a good prompt for getting business, for getting business, for getting, um, okay, describe the woman which is the perfect one for me. Describe the husband, man, which is the perfect one for me. Yeah, it's good
So,
prompt. Good
and
prompt, Tori.
also, if you needed, if you wanted to do something more, I don't know how to put it, more like a class on how to do this.
Yeah.
There's a blog called how to finding your perfect location, I think it's called. And you could use that same
Mhm.
technique for finding a job, for finding a mate, for finding anything. And it's
That,
actually it's class, but it's in my blog section, and it's a class on how to find
mhm.
your perfect location. So that's one thing, but there's another class that I think everybody should read if you're looking for a job or looking for something like that, and that is how to ask the right question.
Right.
That's really, and so Trixie just put finding your ideal location. She put a link to that blog in the chat. And Trixie, if you can find how, I think there's one on how to ask the right question. If she finds it, she'll put it in there as well. And then Misha says, today at the session, I described people as a Gestalt bio quite correctly, but they turned out to be statues. How can this be taken into
Okay.
account? Is this a mistake because they're man-made?
No, and this is one of the confusing things. Your subconscious mind is going to see things that have multiple gestalts. Okay. And uh, the one I like to use most is a flock of sheep going over a hillside. Okay? They're biological. But if the important thing is not the sheep, the subconscious mind is going to say water because they're flowing over a hillside. Okay? And so your subconscious mind will pick out what it thinks is important to the site. Okay. And so if at this point the statue itself is the important thing, it will give you man made. If the person the statue is of, it will give you biological. The fact is, it's a man made biological. Okay. Uh, but this is one of the nuances that will happen as you get better and better. It will see motion as a flow and give you water. It'll see water as an object and give you a liquid object. Okay, and things like this. Your subconscious picks out, in the very beginning, stage one, what it thinks is important about the target. And so many times you'll get water, and you'll come up and start describe the water. Oh, well, it's fast, it's windy, it's moving in one direction, it's moving up, something like this. And it's talking about the fluidity of the motion. And you're describing, when you get into stage two, you're describing it as a motion, which is what it was telling you in the first place.
You know, I have to tell a quick story. Well, I think I was taking advanced for the first time, and the target Lynn had chosen for me was Red Square and Lenin's tomb in Moscow.
Oh, yeah.
And I had never
Yeah.
been, I'd never been to Russia.
Yeah.
And there's a guy on a horse in the square. There's a statue of a man on a horse. And
Mhm.
so, and I had this stray cat of a man on a horse, and and so then I said, well, I sense that there is a bio there, and he's male, but it was the statue. And Lynn said, speak to the male language. And I said, Russian, without even thinking about it. It just came right out of my mouth. I don't think it even, I
Mhm.
think it totally bypassed my brain and just popped out of my mouth. And I said,
Yeah.
Russian. And so, and then I got to go to that very spot. And I spent a month in Moscow, Jim and I did. And I got to go up and talk to that statue. The man on the horse.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's see, let's keep going. Let's see. And then here we are. Joel says, do you think Nostradamus was remote viewing?
No, he
Yes,
was psychic.
he was psychic, but remote viewing has become such a generic term and that it cover, it's
In
like
that aspect,
martial
yes.
arts.
Yeah. Remote viewing is a structured method. Now, he had a structured method. He got a bowl of water and stared into it to get things. And that is a visual form of psychometry. Uh, and, one of my big bugaboos is that everything psychic is called remote viewing now. And
Mhm.
somebody comes in and they're good at dowsing. Oh, you're a remote viewer. And so they go studying remote viewing when they're good at dowsing, you know, and and there's so much information about how to douse and become expert at it, and scrying, uh, the many things. This is one of the things that has gotten to me is that everything's called remote viewing because psychic got such a bad name. Listen, there's nothing wrong with being psychic. If you're psychic, be proud of it. Really, I'm
Yeah.
honest. Yeah. You don't have to call it remote viewing.
Nia says, in CRV, if I take a session to perceive a specific person, is it possible for non-target intelligence or entities to interfere with the signal line? Could spirits or non-human intelligence intentionally block access to the target? I
I would
have,
say so, but you can't prove it.
and Lynn, okay, so I've been doing this 30 years, Lynn. You've been doing this how many years?
Uh, since
50?
90, uh, 92.
Was
No, since before,
no, it's
since 80,
early 85. In
80,
the 80s, you
82,
were
yeah,
doing.
85, yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Because I know I saw something with you remote
I'm
viewing in
getting old.
85. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
I'm
agree
not.
with me.
I'm not getting old. I'm staying right here. But but here's also but here's what I the reason I asked that is because in our combined however many years it's been 80 years or whatever in our combined 80 years of remote viewing um I have not found that entities will block remote viewing. What I have had
Same here.
happen, I've had interdimensional beings, depending on the type of target, I've been communicated with from,
Hmm.
you know, other forms of life that have come in to give additional information and made it clear that they were trying to help. And then when I did that, I did one target in which Mel Riley was a viewer, I was a viewer. We both viewed the same target. We both had the exact same experience. And later, Mel said, "Lori, you know, we were being communicated with. We were being, talked to. You
Yeah,
know it." And I said,
yeah.
"Yes, I do know it." So in that sense, yes, you can interact with other beings in your remote viewing sessions, but I've only found helpful beings. I haven't found any that tried to stop me or tried to interfere or tried to block me
Yeah.
or anything in my 30 years. That's just been my experience.
I haven't either. Everyone I've ever found has either been neutral or helpful. I've never had one try to block me on anything. However,
There's always a however.
however, you're talking about non-human and spirits and all that. Okay. We found very quickly that as a human, there are things that you can learn in remote viewing that will stop other people from having accurate, that can really
Oh,
deter
yes.
them. And that wasn't lost on us, that we could um, target the remote viewers of other countries and screw up their sessions when they were spying on us.
Mhm.
um, so uh, it's the humans you have to worry about.
Yeah, not the spirits. That's true.
Yeah.
And then April says, what are your thoughts on everything that has come out about the GATE program in schools? And do you think a lot of people who find themselves on the path to CRV were also in the GATE program? As a former 90s GATE kid, I've really excelled at remote viewing. Do you think there's a correlation? That's it. That's an interesting thing. I haven't read a lot about the GATE program. Have you, Lynn? Have you been up on that?
Familiar with it. Yeah. Um, and I believe the answer is yes, that it has helped. Uh, there was a lot of the work on GATE programs that were mismanaged or managed by the wrong people and turned out very bad. But for the most part, the GATE program, the different GATE programs uh, were there to help and to help build better minds among children and all that. Uh, the bad ones get all the publicity, and there were bad ones. But most of the GATE programs were really good and were constructive and helpful. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Um, PJ says, I suspect I have aphantasia, the inability to visualize mental imagery at all. Most meditation techniques rely heavily on visualization, and it seems RV does as well to some extent. Does lack of visualization impact the way you would train CRV? If I may, Lynn, I'm going to just take a stab at this one because
Go ahead.
I've had entire classes like I found that I could group classes when I was teaching in person all the time. Like I had a
Mhm.
class of nothing but males with really bad dyslexia. And
Mhm.
and so I was teaching this whole group and they were all males with dyslexia. And I planned it that way because I had had like 11 or 12 people sign up for a class in person. And
Yeah.
I interviewed them all and I found out that three of them had dyslexia. So I put them I created two classes and I taught one group, and then a couple weeks later I taught the other group, and the other group was these guys. And Lynn, I mean, and Jim, my husband, who was always home and observing me teach, when in after the end of the first or second day, he said, "You're teaching this class really differently from the way you normally teach." And I said, "Oh, that's because all three men have dyslexia." And they're really kinesthetic learners, because when you're a teacher, you learn quickly that there are kinesthetic learners, there's auditory learners, there's visual learners. And I said,
Mhm.
these guys are very hands-on. So I teach this really hands-on. When we have blind students, for example, they can learn to do ideograms in the palm of their hand through feel. And
Mhm.
they can do ideograms like that. Kind of like Helen Keller, but and so
Mhm.
it seems like there's a way around almost every disability, I feel. And
Right. Yeah.
so, and I would think that I haven't actually had a student. I have a lot of students who write me and say, I have aphantasia. Can I still learn remote viewing? And I say yes. And a lot of them have taken my courses, but they're taking the video courses. So I haven't met them and worked with them in person.
Right.
But my
Mhm.
thinking, and Lynn, tell me if you think that I'm wrong on this, but my thinking is that if they can't visualize, there's so many other senses that they can describe and that
Right.
they can use, that maybe they wouldn't have those visual stray cats that a lot of us struggle with.
That's right. And you notice that they always say people who are blind develop their other senses better.
Hmm.
It's the same with the remote viewing senses. If you can't visualize in that, you're going to develop your other senses better. You're going to pick up the stuff, you know.
Hmm. I really
And
think so
yeah,
too.
it doesn't stop you at all.
That's what I think too. Yeah. Okay, Misha says, if I saw water, for example, as a gestalt and described it in detail, but it's not on the target, should I put no next to each description where I counted the score for water? And that depends, Misha, because I'll give you an example. One time I was remote viewing and I perceived that there was a cylindrically shaped building.
Mhm.
So I said it was man-made, it was cylindrical, it was green, and that when I touched it, it was very rough textured. And then when I saw the target, what was front and center of the target was a cactus that was green and rough textured. And I knew that that was what I was perceiving as a building, but it wasn't a building. It was a cactus. So I went ahead and counted the perceptions, which were accurate as yeses,
Mhm.
but the gestalt I counted as a no. That was inaccurate.
Right.
But let's say you just were really having a stray cat day, and you said,
Mhm.
"Oh, I think there's a big ocean and there's boats and all this," and then you look and it's a desert. Of course, all that's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can judge based on what you perceived versus what's at the target. And again, we want to caution everybody: don't waffle. Don't try to make it right if it's not right.
Yeah. And remember, if, he says, if I saw water, okay. If you get the stage one gestalt of water, it doesn't mean water. It means liquidy. And,
Unless it's
but
ice or vapor.
well, yeah. And, if I saw water as a gestalt, okay, and describe in detail, okay. And stage two is where you go to describe the gestalt. Okay, but it's not on the target. Should I put no next to each description when I count the score? this goes back to the question that was already asked about um, if it's not, um, when you say it's not on the target, do you mean it's not in the feedback? Okay. And if you look at the feedback and there's an honest question as to, is there water around here? Uh, you see a house and there's a boat in the parking lot. Is there water around here? Well, there's probably water somewhere around, but it's not the target. You don't know, put a question mark. Otherwise, put a no. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
But
and
be
you know,
honest.
like
Be honest. Yeah.
I frequently have given the Albuquerque Balloon Festival as a target because I take so many photos when I go to that. I have a
Yeah.
lot of those photos, and almost every time people will get water when they do that target, and if the water's never visible in the photo, unless you have a cloudy
Mhm.
day, right? The clouds count as water, uh, but
Yeah.
but the thing that I think the reason they always get water is because the balloons take off and then they always land right next to the river, and the river
Mhm.
is close by. It's not in the photo, but it is nearby.
Mhm.
And so, it's really the only way. There's no pat answer to your question because you have to do some research sometimes. Sometimes it
Right.
helps to go onto Google Earth and pull up the location because maybe there is water right there. It's just not visible in the photo, the feedback photo.
Right.
But keep in mind, water comes in many forms: ice, snow,
Yes.
vapor, steam, things like that too. And clouds. Clouds count as water.
Mhm.
So,
And always keep in mind that when you get water and the water is black and gooey and smells oily,
Nicola. Yeah.
okay, the gestalt is that which is fluid, okay, and water in any form is still fluid, okay, even in
Now there,
vapor form.
and
Yeah.
there's a free class on my website under free stuff. If you look at the ideogram slideshow and there, when it talks about water, it also talks about how it could be the sweat on someone's brow or the wine in someone's glass, so,
Mhm.
but people always ask me, well, then why do we have a gestalt that says water? Why don't we have a gestalt that says liquid? And I say it's because water's not always liquid. Sometimes it's a solid, sometimes it's a gas.
Mhm.
So, it's not always liquid, but uh,
Well, I'll tell you the real reason we have the gestalt water,
yeah.
because that's what Ingo said it was, and we keep that as a historical thing. Ingo named it wrong.
Yeah,
Oh,
so that's
yeah.
interesting. Okay, good. And then Roberto says, when I was younger, up to my late 20s, I was able to see live images of events before these events would happen. When I was a
Hmm.
toddler, my sister used to put me to sleep by counting objects or counting numbers. Now in my 50s, I'm not able to see any images, not with my eyes closed, not in any way.
Hmm.
I've taken courses here and there, but I'm still not able to develop the same skills I had up to my late 20s. What
Really?
would you suggest? Last, I'm not CRV trained by you, but I've taken courses and I've read a few books. That would be interesting. I
That's
wonder,
strange.
Roberto, do you think, is it possible that you could have had a brain injury of any kind? A lot of times we bonk our heads and we don't even realize we've injured ourselves. Or if you've had
Mhm.
like a TIA or anything, because that could be an indicator that a part of your brain has, been blocked off or ceased to function in some way. Might not be anything serious, but when you were able to do something and suddenly you can't, there's a lot of medical reasons that could be. So you might want to go get checked out just to be sure that everything's
Yeah.
fine, in your noggin.
And there's nothing negative about what I'm going to say here. There are also psychological reasons.
Mhm.
Something that happens in your life, psychological doesn't mean you're crazy, but it
Trauma.
emotionally, traumatic, yeah, something traumatic in your life uh, can make changes like that.
Yeah.
And you see the changes, but you forget what it is. And so I really wouldn't know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, and as a former hypnotherapist, I no longer practice hypnosis, guys. So, because as soon as I say mention it, I get a bunch of requests to do hypnosis. I don't do
yeah.
hypnosis anymore, but I was a hypnotherapist for 14 years, and you could go to a hypnotherapist and get hypnotized to find out you're no longer why you're no longer visualizing and see what happened. That's what I would recommend.
Chloe, I couldn't see the questions either until I double clicked the blank space, and then all of a sudden the questions came on. So I don't know if that would help.
Yeah, look at the bottom of your screen, Chloe, for the Q&A and see if you can double click on that. Uh, Padmini loves your background, Lynn. This is a beautiful background. How did you make that
Uh,
Saturn planet look so lit up? That's just paint?
oh,
There's no light?
it's just paint, yeah. And
Wow.
this is one of my paintings, yeah.
Beautiful.
It's just
Neat.
contrasting colors, yeah.
That's beautiful. Misha says, how to understand whether an ideogram should be defined as a composite or broken down into separate gestalts. I think he means the compound ideograms, compound and complex. Simple ideograms come
Compounded
in
color.
simple, compound, and complex. So
And
when you
yes, you break them down into separate gestalt. Yeah.
yes, and sometimes they can be a compound ideogram could be, for example, land water interface.
Hmm.
Things like that. Then
Yeah.
so if you said, for example, like a floor in a house, that let's say you had a linoleum floor and you're doing a session and it comes up man-made land. And you go, oh, it's man-made land. I mean, it's almost like that's one thing. It's the floor in my house. It's
Yeah.
man-made land, And the answer to your question, Misha, is practice, 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 and
Right.
study. Do some post-session analysis and study your patterns so you can learn about your own sessions and how your
That's right.
particular
And
habits.
well, you become more sensitive to the meanings of the ideograms as you get more experience, but it also becomes more complex because let's say you get uh, man-made biological, okay? You may have a man-made and a biological, or may have a man-made biological, which would be a statue. And so even stage one can get complex. But the thing is, you get more sensitive to it as you practice, and it becomes easier, really.
Joel, thank you for your compliment. I really appreciate it. I don't really remember. I remember the target, but I don't remember doing that session. I mean, but I appreciate your compliment. I don't recall that. And then Joel says, how's your story stone? Any new stories?
I haven't viewed the Story Stone in years. Uh, but if I might try that again. Uh, Listen, you get some beautiful material for short story. If you're a writer and you want to write short stories, view the Story Stone. Yeah, you'll get a different story every time, and
Yes. And
you
then
usually they're very good. Yeah.
the hi Shri. I'll look for you at the Irva booth when I go to the Psy Games. I'm excited to get there
Oh,
and it's gonna
good.
be fun. It'll be nice to meet you in person. Elise asked, was Corey Good in the GATE program? I don't know. I don't know if Corey Good was in the GATE program. Um, Kevin asked, I just recently heard about CRV. Is remote viewing help your relationship with your subconscious? Definitely, Kevin. Oh my gosh, it's so good
Absolutely. Yeah.
improving that.
That's
I
what it's
felt
all
I feel
about.
like I feel like I didn't even have a relationship with my subconscious till I learned about CRV and started practicing
Yeah.
CRV. I'm guessing subconscious assist finding past the logical, well-known information. Also with Stargate program. Lynn, have you met any of the Russian CRV operators from years past? Very interesting project.
Not to speak of.
Okay, let's leave it at that. I know Lynn really
Let's leave it
well.
at that.
And when he says certain things like that, I just don't ask any more questions about that subject.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, then Misha says, when I'm doing a summary, for example, a bio, should I highlight all the adjectives from the entire session that apply to the bio, or is the choice made based on my own perception? Oh, yes. Okay, so Misha, I think I'm not sure I
Oh,
understand
yeah.
your question, but if I think I
Yes.
understand it.
It's called filtering. Yeah. You get to your summary and you say the the biological is or has, and then start at the beginning of stage two, because stage one, you're not viewing the target. You're not describing the target. Start at the beginning, and if you scan down fairly quickly and see what pops out to you. Now, descriptors of the biological may be in your session under the man-made or something like that. But when you get to your summary and you do biological, ignore all of those separate things and look for something, and something will pop out. Say the biological is green, okay, and yeah, you just go through like that, collecting, and write them into that paragraph under biological. Uh, yes, this is perfectly the way to do it.
Okay, good deal. Then I lost my spot here. I was right after.
What did you say, RV?
Sorry, my computer's acting really weird.
Uh,
So
it says, what is ARV and how is it different from CRV?
it's bouncing all over the place.
Oh, really?
Mine is. Not, I mean, on my
Okay.
computer for some reason. Okay.
You have an Apple.
And it's a brand new one too, Lynn. It's
I
brand new.
know.
Okay. What is ARV and how's it different from CRV? Oh, okay. So ARV, Lynn, do you want to answer it? I don't have to jump in if you would like to.
In first criteria, in CRV, you view the target. In ARV, you view only your feedback. Okay. And in CRV, the target is the target. In ARV, it's associated remote viewing. So, good example here. you you're sitting in the roulette wheel, okay, and you have a bowl of peanuts, a bowl of little candies, and a Coke, and you say, if the ball lands in a red spot, I'm going to eat a peanut afterwards. If it lands in a black spot, I'm going to take a sip of Coke. If it lands in the green spot, I'm going to eat one of the little candies. Now then, you have associated the candy with green, the Coke with black, the peanut with red. Now then, you don't view the color. Now then, you say, after the roulette ball falls into a slot, what am I going to taste? I'm going to taste Coke. Ah, better on black. So you have associated something that's easy to do because in your remote viewing, you found, hey, I'm good at taste. Now, if you had said sounds, okay, if it drops into the black spot, I'm going to go on the counter thing. If it, I'm going to tap my foot or make another sound or something like that. What am I going to hear? And you find out what you're good at, and you associate the things that you're good at and easy with something that's hard to view. Um, have you seen the new? I can show this to you. Um, Come on, look at it right here. There is a site out now. It's called arvdowsing.com. And you go there, and there is a thing that comes up. It's a map and all the different ways of dowsing. What you do is you will give it a question and tell it how many possible answers. Like, um, okay, what's the first digit on the lottery ball going to be? There are only 10 possible answers, 0 to 9. It will pick 9 cities or 9 places on that map and associate each one to one of the digits. Then you do your dowsing, but you don't dowse for the number. You dowse for the location which is associated with the number that's going to show up. And by dowsing, you make your mark on the map. It shows you the locations, and the one you're closest to is probably the one that's going to show up on the ball. And so it's called ARV dowsing because you don't look for the number. You look for the location that's associated with the number. Now in CRV, you would look for the number. But in ARV, you look for your feedback, which is associated with what you're trying to find. Are
And
we confused yet?
yeah.
Are we confused yet? Yeah.
And I just want to say
Yeah.
though that for those who are my students, we have my students receive once a week. They get a thing called Your PRV Moment, and there is a Your PRV Moment about each. It says the different types of CRV of remote viewing, and I go over ARV, CRV, ERV, and all those, and I explain each one. So, Trixie, is that something that you can share, or is that not something that can be shared?
Let me check if we have a public link.
Or if we have a blog on it, maybe. I might have created a printed blog as well. I'm not sure. And then Joel says, Lori, you have a healing class. Would you be willing to share what issues were confirmed, discovered, or healed through those efforts beyond your own personal reverse aging? Joel, you're just so complimentary today. I'm just going to have to print everything you write. But, but gosh, Lynn, in all the years we've been doing med apps. See, what is it doing weird stuff on yours too?
Oh, yeah, it just scrolled up past everything.
I think it's,
found it
to
now.
be honest,
Yeah.
I don't think it's Apple or Microsoft. I think it's the Zoom. Zoom has just done a whole
It's
bunch
Zoom.
of weird
Yeah.
stuff. But to answer your question, Joel, in the many years, there have been so many things. Like I'll just pull up the first memory that popped in. Lynn calls and he tells me that one of my students, Dan Chevalier, was in the hospital with something really serious had happened. He had aspirated something, or I can't remember, but he was in the hospital and he was in dire straits. I think they had they were going to give him a thing to put him to sleep, and they put it into his lungs instead or something. And his lungs were paralyzed. He couldn't breathe, and he was like on death's door. And we all just jumped in and started doing med apps on him, on the healing stuff on him. And he had such a turnaround. I mean, like immediate, there was like an immediate turnaround that was phenomenal. One of my students, that for a long time, she started studying with me in 2006 and has been studying with me ever since. So 20 years she's been studying with me. She was in the hospital with COVID, and we all worked on her. And because her son was communicating with us and saying, oh my gosh, she's like really serious. We all just focused and did our med apps work on her, and she had an immediate turnaround. Phyllis, remember Phyllis,
Yes.
Lynn? Tell them about
Phyllis
Phyllis.
Davis. Phyllis Davis was the blonde bombshell on the Love Boat, and she was a good friend of mine, and she had cancer, and 8 times she would be in the hospital, and they were predicting that she could not live through it. She would let us know, and this is back when we had the old CRV email list, and we would call everybody together, and they would do a session. The next day, they'd release her from the hospital because she was fine. that happened 8 times. Yeah. And uh, then she would go back into the life she had, and the cancer would return. But when I was in Las Vegas one time, I was talking to her. She said, "I'm tired of this yo-yo. Please don't heal me again."
Hmm.
And I honored that request, and that time she died. Yeah.
So, but we have seen dramatic
Oh yeah,
turnarounds really a lot.
yeah.
Oh, one really great story. Oh, I have two really good. Could I share two stories really quick?
Oh, go
Yes.
ahead. Yeah.
Well, there was okay, so I had a student who loved my healing class and which we call MedApps. And
Mhm.
she was an author and she was part of an authors group. And one day this woman from her authors group called her and she said, I have twin boys that are 3 years old. One of them is severely autistic and has never acknowledged another human but me. And
Yeah.
he is now in the hospital and he is gravely ill and they don't know if he's going to make it. And I know you took this healing course. Could you please work on him? Try to see if you
Mhm.
can heal him. Now, the premise, a big premise of this class is you're working on a subconscious level with the person and you're persuading them to heal themselves. So she started using this technique to connect with this autistic 3-year-old boy on a subconscious level and get him to play with her in a way that would help him heal. So she was working with him for 2 weeks. And at the 2 week mark, the mom called her and said, oh my gosh, he's getting released from the hospital. He's doing so much better. He's getting released. And she said, I'm so grateful to you. Would you come and have lunch with me? I want you to be able to meet my son because she had never met these boys, right? She said, I would
Yeah.
love for you to come to my house and have lunch and you'll get to meet my son, but please don't get your hopes up because he's never acknowledged another human besides me. So she pulls up in front of the house and the woman comes out. She's holding the 3-year-old boy in her arms. The boy sees her and leaps out of his mother's arms and runs and leaps into her arms. And he had never acknowledged another human ever. But she had gotten to know him on a subconscious level, and he
Yeah.
responded to that. So
Oh,
that to me was like solid proof. As far as I was concerned, I was like, wow, that story amazed me. And then another story
yeah.
from Henry Gilroy. He has a daughter who
Oh,
is was born with cerebral palsy, and she loves video games. She loves to play video games, and he said she's also a little bit lazy. So she had gone into the hospital with a heart problem, and they found an enclosed bubble in her heart that was filled with liquid. And they said the only way for
mm,
us to get it, they couldn't aspirate it or anything. They said we have to do open heart surgery. There's no choice. We have to do open heart surgery because it's growing and there's more liquid pouring in there. We have to do this open heart surgery. So they had set this surgery up for whatever day. And in between the day that it was diagnosed and the date of the surgery, Henry was doing med apps on her and he was convincing her to come into this room where all the video games were, and the room was flooded and they had to try to get the water out of the room together because you
mm,
have to get the person's participation. So she was working and then and they did this every day, every day, every day. The girl didn't even consciously know what was going on, but on a subconscious level, they were working on it. And then it's the day of the surgery, they go in and they do a quick whatever test, ultrasound or whatever sonogram to see how things are doing. And the doctor comes to him and he goes, what did you do? What did you do? The water is gone. The whole thing is gone. And he's like freaked out. And Henry's like, I don't know. Must be a miracle. you know?
yeah.
so so I hope that should definitely answers your question, Joel, with some real stories there.
Mhm.
Now I love April's question. Her next question, she says, how do you remove you a specific target like the pyramids or Mars without
Oh,
bias or your own thoughts about it bleeding into the session? Your own thoughts are going to bleed in every time. You just have to set them aside. And that's one reason though why we try to be blind to the targets, because if you're blind, if you say I'm going to view the pyramids today or I'm going to go view Mars, of course you're going to be so front loaded, especially as a
sure.
new student, that you're not going to be able it's almost impossible. And that's why
Yeah.
we try to be blind to the target. The target's a location. You don't know that it's the pyramid or Mars. And that's how you keep a lot of your own thoughts from bleeding into the session.
Yeah. And even as an advanced viewer, somebody will say, uh, view the pyramids for me. And you say, you want to see the pyramids, look in the book, read a book about it or whatever. What unknown do you want to know about the pyramids? Ah, go for the unknown. And as long as you're going for the unknown, you have to figure everybody's tried to figure this out before and they haven't succeeded. So it's really unknown. So get rid of the bias and go for the unknown. Yeah. But that's one way to get rid of the bias when you view.
Very good. Jojo asked, do hormones or lack thereof affect CRV? For example, if you're no longer producing hormones or physical issues that affect the hypothalamus, for example, no longer feel hungry, and the pineal gland, does the higher frequency override the physical handicap? I've had success CRVing, but wondering if I could be stronger with more balanced hormones. Thank you. I really love that question though, because I wondered the same thing, to be honest, Lynn.
Mhm.
And I have been doing what they call bio-T hormones for years, since like
Oh, yeah.
2014.
Hmm.
So it's been like 12 years that I've been doing what they call the pellets. They call them the pellets. And so I've been doing those hormones. And I can't really, I can't say whether or not it's affected my sessions or their accuracy, because I don't really have data. It's not like I did a data
Yeah.
thing where I really kept data and said, here's with hormones, here's without hormones. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know, but I do know that overall well-being is definitely affected when you have, and now the FDA has come out, they did a special symposium where they said women need hormones. Postmenopausal women need hormones, and it
Yeah.
will not, it's not going to cause cancer and all that stuff. They need hormones. And the thing is it's just the thing about quality of life. Do you view better
Yeah.
when you feel good, or do you view better when you feel miserable? I mean, that's to me that what it really comes down to. It's
Yeah.
not so much the hormones, it's about how does the viewer feel, and do you view better when you feel good? And the answer I would think would be
Yeah.
yes. You're going to do a better
Yeah.
job of viewing.
I would say so because even when you feel good or feel bad, you change your own hormones.
That's true
And
too.
and and at its very most basic aspect, CRV is a physical martial art.
Hmm.
So
That's
I would say, yeah, it's going to make a difference. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so then let's see. Then there's a couple of comments about the water. I'm going to go ahead and move on from past those because we've gone over time now.
Mhm.
Relating
Yeah.
to Roberta's question, could it be calcified pineal gland? How do you I do actually know how to decalcify the pineal gland, actually. Um, it's actually something that Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches. And he talks about how people talk about, and I hear this a lot, where people talk about the fluoride and the toothpaste and the water calcifying the pineal gland. And he said, actually, keep in mind that the calcification on the pineal gland is actually basically made of salt. And so what he teaches you a technique where you pull in from your perineum and you suck in your stomach muscles and your abdomen and your all your stuff, and then you pull it all the way in, and you're breathing in as you do it, and then you get up to the very top. You kind of arch your back. You've got your back straight, but then you arch it a little bit, keep your neck straight, and you're kind of sipping air in at the very top of your lungs as hard as you can, pulling all the way from your perineum up. And for those of you who don't know what the perineum is, that's the muscles that you use when you go to the bathroom and the muscles you use when you have sex. So it's those muscles right between your legs. So you're pulling up on those and pulling up on every muscle. And they've actually showed us a video of an x-ray as someone was doing it. And you can watch, and what they're doing is they're forcing the cerebral spinal fluid to go up into the brain. And then you focus on that spot in the pineal gland, which is kind of
Mm.
behind, it's right here behind, right behind your skull here. And as you do it, the liquid from your cerebral spinal fluid goes up and it actually washes the pineal gland. And if you keep doing it, it eventually just kind of
Mm.
cleans the pineal gland off. It'll break up the calcifications and help kind of wash the pineal gland. You're using cerebral spinal fluid
Mm.
to do that. So, and
Very
and if
neat.
you can go on YouTube and look up Dr. Doja Spencer and watch some of his videos, and it will tell. He actually teaches that for free on some of his videos. And then, how long does it take to master the ideogram? If you practice your ideograms, if you do ideogram practice,
Mhm.
It doesn't take long at all. I'm in my experience, it's just but it's really the level of how often do you practice them? What would you say, Lynn?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, okay, my ideogram vocabulary is around 300 ideograms, and I have come to depend on them, and they're they give me accurate information. The word master, mastering ideograms. Soon as I find out the answer to that, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's
I
true. That's true.
still feel I've mastered them.
And also someone asked if would you be willing this little Q&A. Bridget asked, would you be willing to share one of your favorite CRV sessions? Bridget, we're going to in our new website, I'm going to have a lot of my sessions. I'm going to have a
Good.
little section on the website where you can actually go and look at the sessions that I've done, my favorite ones, all my favorite ones, and some of the
Mhm.
projects that I'm allowed to share, the ones that I'm allowed to share. And then also, Trixie, if you would post in the chat 18 years of excitement, that blog 18 years of excitement, it's an article that I wrote for a magazine, but it was at the point I wrote it, I'd been remote viewing for 18 years. I've now been remote viewing for 30 years,
Mhm.
but it does talk about some of my favorite sessions up to that point, and there's even pictures and diagrams and things like that that you can look at. So Trixie can put that in the chat, and then you'll get that answer to that, Bridget. And oh, so Bridget, yes, isn't it weird? It's acting very strange. I'm sure they've got a lot of, and then there's that arvdowsing.com. Carolyn says, what was the URL Lynn mentioned for ARV? Oh, is that the one? arvdowsing.com? I don't know.
ARVdowsing.com. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. And then let's see. Okay. Padmini says Mercury retrograde. And then Kevin says the healing stories are so encouraging. I'm so glad, Kevin. Um, okay, now I think Lynn, we're at 120. Oh, but we're almost done. We only have two more.
Okay.
Since we've touched on ARV, is it possible to build such a structure? For example, if I'm trading on the stock exchange, do CRV to describe the feedback my monitor has prepared? This feedback is tied to the question, will my next trade be profitable? Then if I found the trade will be profitable, I set the standard bid. If I've described the feedback with negative scenario, then I set the minimum bid. This way, I don't ask whether the market will rise or fall since I can see trade on both sides. There's a lot
Yeah,
of people who use it that way.
and when you do that, you're actually doing ARV
Oh,
because
say ARV.
you're not describing the stock, you're describing the emotion of your feedback. Yeah. So that's a way of doing ARV. Yeah.
And we actually teach that in the ARV course, Misha. And
Yeah.
today, for those of you who don't know, today is the last day of the summer sale that we've been running, where you can get all kinds of
Mhm.
bundles and 35% discounts. Trixie, can you post the link to that so people can access that? Trixie's going to put a link to that in the chat, guys. It's the biggest sale that we've had, I think, in a really, really long time,
Mhm.
and it's 35% off, tons of free bonuses that come with it, and you can buy bundles where you could buy basic, intermediate, and advanced as a bundle, as the
Mhm.
6 video courses. So if you're interested in any of that, Trixie's going to put a link, and she just put it in there. I can see the number went from 5 to 6. So guys, go in the chat and you can check it out and just read about it. You don't, no obligation. Just go take a look at it if you'd like to. You know me, I don't like to be on here rah rah, bye bye. Just if you feel like it's right for you, and this is a good time because today's the last day. Um, and then yeah, but Misha, there is a bundle that includes the ARV course. You can also buy it
Mhm.
by itself, but there's a bundle that includes the ARV course if you're interested. And Lynn also has an ARV course.
Mhm.
The difference between Lynn's
We
ARV
have
course
we
and
have
mine.
had we have had hackers, and so
Oh
for
no.
the time being, we've stopped offering it. I'm going to
Oh,
go ahead and redo it. If you've already signed up for the ARV course, you still have it,
oh,
but
okay.
we've stopped offering it until we get a new one that's hack proof.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going
Good
to
luck.
say the one that Lynn created, and the difference between the one Lynn originally created and the one that I created is that I was like, I don't know how to do this ARV course. It's so hands-on. So I ended up
Yes.
filming a live course with where we had students, and it's actually that, but it does have like
Mhm.
all the written materials and everything that you get with it. But you're actually participating in a live class during the video course.
Yeah.
So
And if you go to APP, Applied Precognitive Project or something, they do hands-on training with you actually betting money and all that, and generally losing, while you're learning.
generally
My
losing while you're learning.
my ARV course teaches you that there are many different ways to do ARV. For this purpose, use this method, and you try it and keep documentation, and you see how well it works for you. Then for this other method, or for this other purpose, there's this other method. You try that. You keep trying all the different ones and see which one works best for you. And don't bet until you get good at it. Yeah. And so that's the difference in the courses. A lot of people just have you bet on games and hope you win. I teach you about ARV, not actually doing it. Okay.
Yeah, so if you're interested in actually doing some fun things in the live class, you can actually go do some fun things with the class. I mean, it's on
Yeah.
video, but
Hmm.
you can stop
Yeah.
the video and
Lori's.
go do that, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Yes, Misha, I suggest that if you've just finished the basic class, that you give yourself a little time. The cool thing is you can buy you get to keep the courses forever. So if you buy it now while it's at a discount, you can still take your 2 months or 3 months to build your foundation in basic
Right.
before you take the intermediate, but you've already purchased it. So it's right there waiting for you as soon as you're ready to take it. So that you can take advantage of the discount. And then Chloe says, how do you come to other ideograms other than those that we've seen? Chloe, a lot of times that your subconscious mind will give you them. And other times I suggest to people that they look up on Google Greg's shorthand. That's Greggs, Greg's shorthand. There's a ton of back in the olden days when my mother has a Greg shorthand book from like 1943.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
but if back in the old days, women secretaries used to take dictation, and the
Sure.
boss would say, "Sally, take a letter. I'm dear Mr. So and so," and then the Sally would be there using shorthand to keep up with her boss as he's dictating the letter. And shorthand has
Yeah.
some fabulous ideograms in it.
It
Um,
does.
and and then I can't see because the stupid thing is not showing me who said this, but if there's no diagnosis, but there are recurring clear clusters of symptoms, is there then a strategy to determine the cause or cure? Consciously, there would be, but when it comes to med apps, we use a method, a CRV method for coming up with diagnosis and remediation. So, and of
Yes.
course, I can't explain that in this forum because CR
No.
MedApps is a very advanced class. You have to have taken basic and intermediate at the very least in order
Right.
to take that course, which I'm going to be teaching next week. I'm teaching MedApps
Good.
the
Good.
22nd through the
And
24th, and it's a huge class. We've got a ton of people signed up for it.
and it has diagnostic tools built in. Yeah.
It does. It's wonderful. It's such a fabulous class. Lynn invented it. It's Lynn's class. I'm honored to
Well,
teach it. I'm honored to be able to teach it. And it's
and
wonderful.
she's good at it too. Take it. Take the course. Qualify for it, but take it. Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. Yeah, Lynn actually came to one of them when I had a big class in Las Vegas. Do you remember that, Lynn?
Yeah.
And so that was really fun. Okay, guys, we're done. We made it to the end before an hour and a half. We actually got all
Hey.
the questions. Thank you guys so much for coming, and hopefully we'll see you next month. Do we have one planned for next month, or did we no, or did we not put one for August? I'm trying to remember. Trixie's our gal.
Not
I
yet
don't
for the
remember.
second half of the year.
Oh, we don't have any set up for the second half of the year, Lynn. So we're gonna be
Oh, okay. All right.
okay. Um, so guys, I'm teaching MedApps this week. Next month I'm teaching basic, but it's already sold out, the basic class. So so that's for next month in August, but I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to tell you that, well, and also be sure and jump into the link that Trixie put in the chat if you want to check out the bundles. Even if you don't want to buy one, if
Yeah.
you just want to say, hey, what's Lori doing and what kind of bundles? Lynn, you should check it out. It's a lot of fun to look at. And
Good.
not that Lynn
Thank you.
needs to buy my classes.
Oh, let me tell you, some of the things that I saw her do, I have said during her training, I said, "Oh, that's neat. I'm going to try it too."
Well, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you, Lynn. So I owe you everything. I owe you the world.
Oh,
And and anyway, guys, I love you guys so much, and Lynn loves you, and we're super happy to be here. And Joel says the online subscription calendar does show you have some scheduled Lynn and Lori coming up. Oh, thank you, Joel. So we'll have to check and see what it shows.
okay. Yeah. Okay.
Just, but it should be on it should be on it should be on the calendar. If Joel could access it, all you
Yeah.
guys can access it, and you can find out
Yeah.
when the next one is.
Can I put a little plug in here?
Please do, please do.
Every couple of days, we're putting up a new short video on one aspect of remote viewing on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And they're very short, but they go into the different theories, the practices, and everything else. And it's on each one of them, it's called Inside Remote Viewing.
Inside
All one
remote
word.
viewing. Inside remote viewing. Cool.
And take a look at them. Take a look at them.
I'm
They're
going to
free.
go take a look at them. I'm going to go take a look at them.
Good.
Very good, guys. And just as a reminder, we're a little short, free little things going to be coming out later today. Trixie, do you know anything about that? The one that we just did this morning?
Sorry.
The video that I just made this morning called using CRV to something like using CRV to discover your identity. It'll come out later today. Is that right?
Later today or tomorrow morning.
Okay, later today or tomorrow morning. So and we'll share that on to our list. If you're on my mailing list, you'll get it.
Good.
But anyway, guys, so we're trying, Lynn and I'm the way I am because Lynn trained me. So we always are trying to put free stuff out for everybody. That's, you know, that you don't have to buy anything. We just put a lot of free things out for you. So just enjoy it, guys. We're just trying to raise consciousness and help people connect with themselves. All right, guys, we're going to see you later. Trixie, are you gonna be the one to shut us off?
Yes, I'll end.
Okay, thanks a lot. We'll see you later then, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.